Angithathele lithuba kuvusela eMaswatini, both in Swaziland, nearer and afar, those in diaspora. My name is Hein Shongwe. Ngingumshumayeli waseWesele Methodist Church, and then one of my passion has been social justice. So I've been an activist and advocacy for social justice and good governance. So having, been passionate about social justice, then the church gave me a responsibility to be the overseer of the justice service program in Swaziland. The Methodist Church, one of its pillars is on justice and service in society. On top of that, I got elected as part of the Council of Swaziland Churches board. And even there, I became the convener of the Justice, Peace, and Reconciliation portfolio in the Council of Swaziland Churches. So then that gave me platform, to advocate for justice at community level, society, even at national level, such that I've had opportunity to even sit at high level meetings, both in South Africa and Swaziland. I've had a meeting with the acting Prime Minister then in June 29, when the mayhem was happening. We were at Cabinet as the Board of Council of Swaziland Churches, meeting with Themba Nhlanganiso Masuku. And it is from that meeting that we sort of got a mandate from government that let's go and convene Amaswati for a dialogue, which we did. We went out, to the society, to civil society, to traditional structures, to all the voices that we thought were calling for the table, were calling for a dialogue. And we met with all those structures. So in a nutshell, our advocacy as a church has been on the ground, even in board meetings. We have been there trying to forge a way for peaceful resolution on the Swaziland conflict. So it is on that point then that I feel Emaswati have missed an opportunity about the advocacy role and voice of the church in socio-economic and political situation. Some of us are misjudged as being now speaking politics, yet we are a church. So I'm hoping after today's paper deliverance, Emaswati will have an idea of the role of the church, of what God has called us into. God has not called us into the pulpit, but God has called us out there where there is injustice, where there is oppression, where there is abuse, and where there is exploitation. God is expecting the church to be there. So, friends, let me start by explaining what politics is, because maybe that's where the confusion comes when people say the church cannot be involved in politics. But we need to answer the question, what is politics? And maybe that's where people miss the question and not knowing what you should be doing as a church. According to the Greek, definition of politics, it is the affairs and well-being of the city, a set of activities that are associated with making decisions in groups or any forms of power amongst individuals, such as the distribution of resources or status. So that's politics in a nutshell. It is all about the well-being of a society. Then the other question that we need to answer, What is church? What is the church? Is it the 4 pillars that we always converged in every Sunday for fellowship and worship of God? That question also needs to be answered. Kuthi yini lebandla, yini lisondlo? The church is those who are called for a certain purpose, the body of Christ, those who believe and obeys the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's the church in a nutshell. So the church is the body of Christ. And as we have heard from these two definitions or description, we can tell that both politics and the church works towards the betterment of human life and a just and equitable society. So then, how do you divorce the two when the two are supposed to be working towards one common goal and purpose? The two should be complementing each other. Instead of being divorced, they should be complementing each other. Politics and the church should be complementing each other.
Let me come.
Sure, leader.
Bacela ukuthi umane uhlanganise nesiswati lapha unagogo lakhe manje hey so ufile kutolikelwa leadership kuyaxolisa.
Hey, ngizawuzama leader, you know my presentation is in English, but I thought we have international community listening, so we need to also, you know, take them into consideration. But ngizawuzama my leader to include both Siswati and English. I'm more conversant on the Queen's language, uzangikolela leadership. And then the other part, as I've explained, politics and the church. We know politicians, angeke ngize ngiwachaze ama-politicians, niyawati nani maswati kithi, niyawati nani bazalwane politicians. But asengichaze nayi yema-prophet or prophets, God's messengers. Labo uNkulunkulu lese abanike i-responsibility manje to be his voice, to be his hands, to be his eyes emhlabeni, so that ke sitokwati ukuthi wo libandla nangabe kufanele lidlale le role lena in society lidlala kanjani kubo bani. Njengoba ngichazile ukuthi libandla ngumtimba waKristu, labo labamukele Jesu njengenkosi nemsindisi wabo. And ipolitiki kanye nelibandla kufanele isebentele kwekuthi timpilo tebantu tibe timpilo letikahle, bahlale kahle emhlabeni, ba-enjoye lokhu uNkulunkulu labanike kona. So that's the role of politicians and the church in society. Then uNkulunkulu ke ubese usebenzisa abaprofeti bakhe kuze alethe imessage emhlabeni kulabo labaphethe in society kumbe ne-religious system yangaleso sikhathi. Baprofeti baNkulunkulu ke kuthiwa they are God's messengers. Balive la nkulunkulu. Bama-representative kingdom yaNkulunkulu, the heavenly kingdom. Babitelwe ukuthi bato letha emavi labuya kuNkulunkulu ne-purpose yaNkulunkulu ngemhlaba nebantu bakhe kuthi ufuna baphile njani, baphilisane njani emhlabeni. Nayo ke irole yebaprofeti. Baprofeti ke abakabitelwa kwekuthi batemperishe nemessage yaNkulunkulu. Abakabitelwa ukuthi bayicompromise imessage yaNkulunkulu. Imessage yaNkulunkulu baprofeti babhekeke ukuthi bayithule njengoba injalo. Noma ngabe kuloyo loyilalele imnanzi noma ayisiyo mnanzi, but baprofeti kufanele batshele umhlaba kuthi uNkulunkulu uthini ngaleso sikhathi, uNkulunkulu uthini ngaleso simo lesibhekane nebantu bakhe ngaleso sikhathi. Baprofeti ke abakabitelwa ukuthi babe popular, because imessage yabo bona is to speak truth to power, to the earthly empires the authorities and the religious system. And obviously, if you are called to speak truth to power, angeke uze uthandwe, angeke uze ushayele tandla, ngoba live la nkulunkulu bazalwane, uthi lomnye umbhali kufuna lihlukanise kube nemkhathi kuthi wrong is wrong, right is right. They should be neither warm nor lukewarm. So live la nkulunkulu nje li-clear. So umprofethi wankulunkulu ubitelwe lokho ukuthi atothula umlayeto wankulunkulu lawulethile emhlabeni. Nasifundza-ke libhayibheli kulabo lesebahlolile etikolweni te-theology, bo-liberation theology, nalabo labastadisha libhayibheli, the religious system. They will recall ukuthi baprofethi bankulunkulu in the olden days, bona bebabitelwe noma banikwe i-authority over nations and kingdoms. Bebakhuluma nemakhosi, baprofethi bakadzeni bebakhuluma nemakhosi, emakhosi bekalalela bona, and bebabitelwe ukuthi batewuphulisha down ema-kingdoms to destroy and overthrow ungodly kingdoms. Let me emphasize this, bazalwane. They were called and given authority to pull down, to destroy, and to overthrow ungodly kingdoms. Ema kingdoms le bekangenti insandvo yankulunkulu. You can search the Bible. It has got a litany of examples of kingdoms that were brought down by God. Ngekuthi angasamlandzeli uNkulunkulu, angasenti lokushiwo uNkulunkulu. So we need to be careful with the modern day theology, yes, submissive to ungodly authorities. Unkulunkulu is not saying we must be submissive to ungodly authorities. Unkulunkulu correct godly principles and authorities. So my prophet, they were killed by emakhosi akadzeni. They were alienated by emakhosi akadzeni because they were confronting the status quo. They were confronting the unjust systems. They were confronting the oppression that was happening. They were confronting the injustices that were happening. Sengichazele ke maswati akithi kwekuthi yini messengers ankulunkulu, yini baprofethi bankulunkulu. Maybe nangabe sesengiphosa a question kini ngithi kuloku lesengikuchazile, do you think Swaziland has prophets? Do you think livela kangwane linabo baprofethi bankulunkulu? Uthi lomnye umbhali, any nation without a prophet is bound to perish and be destroyed. I want to leave this to you. Kwekuthi kube besinebaprofethi bankulunkulu, ngabe live lethu liku lesimo lesikuso yini nje ngamanje.